Welcome back, you guys, to another episode of Vancouver Carpenter, the drywalleriest carpenter on the internet in his garage. Okay, what I'm gonna teach you guys today is how to tweak a corner bead. So what that means is, like, sometimes maybe a wall's not plumb, and maybe it has to be plumb, like for tile or for cabinets or for whatever reason. But let's say this wall is a 1/4 inch that way. It has to be perfect in order for the cabinets to line up. So what I'm going to teach you is how to put the corner bead on tight down at the bottom and install it out of plumb. So this is what I would call tweaking a bead. And while it might seem really easy, just put more mud under it, pull it out, and then wipe it tight. If you do it improperly, you're going to wind up with a worse corner than you would have had you just installed it regularly. Okay, so first of all, I'm using air drying mud because this is a garage YouTube video, but if you are actually going to be tweaking a bead, I would recommend using quick set. Use a setting time that you are comfortable working with. So in my case, if I was doing something like this, I would probably use 20-minute mud. That would give me enough time to work with it, but then have it set up. Because what the enemy to tweaking a bead is the shrinkage of the mud. If you use regular air drying mud, as it shrinks, it will twist the bead to the side that has the most mud on it. But if you use a quick set mud, then it will stay where you put it. And you also have the opportunity to put successive coats on it in the same day and really build it out. Because a lot of the time when you pull a corner bead out a 1/4 inch, you can even go up to like a 1/2 inch with a paper bead. It's pretty crazy how much you can do if you use quick set. But I lost my train of thought. Okay, guys, it's gone. I totally lost my train of thought. So let's just actually start installing this thing. Okay, so we're gonna push it tight to this side and pull it a 1/4 inch out here. So obviously what you're going to need to do is have quite a lot of mud on the place where you are pulling the bead out. And it will be successively less the more you go down. So down here, because we're not pulling it out so far, it doesn't need as much. And again, on this side, it just needs a simple uniform amount, not too much, because this side is getting pushed relatively snug. Although it doesn't hurt to have a little bit more up at the top so that it gets full inside there, or at least somewhat full, and you don't end up with pockets. That's one of the other things that can happen, is you can wind up with big hollow spots behind it if you don't put enough mud and then you pull that bead out. So as you can see, it's globbed on there thick to ensure that there is a lot of mud behind it. Okay, so first, because the bottom's getting put on tight, we'll start there, work our way up, and remember, we're going to be pushing this side kind of tight. And come over to this side. So right now what I'm really making sure of is that this is the flange, this paper part right here, is thoroughly embedded in the mud, that there's lots there. Okay, down at the bottom, I'm squeezing all the mud out because we want that one kind of tight. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, there's lots of mud behind here. We're gonna pull it out a bit because it's pushed in a bit too far. So we've got about a 1/4 inch, which is what we were going for. So now I'm gonna start just getting rid of some of this excess mud so that we can actually work with it. So I'm not wiping it all out yet. I'm just getting rid of this extra. Okay, the next thing you need to do when like if you're going to pull this out a 1/4 inch, I'm pulling it out even a bit more. It's really important that you check it with a straight edge. We're not necessarily checking for level, we're making sure that the bead is straight from the top to the bottom. Because what you don't want to have is you don't want to have the bead tight, 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 and then go like that. So super important to check this, and that's also why we don't wipe all of the mud out at the start. Because if we wipe it tight, what's going to happen is you won't be able to pull out anything except the top of the bead. Okay, so now that we've done that, we can start wiping with a little more force here. So I'm just, you know, doing the paper mache for adults thing here. We're just, you know, when you used to soak those pieces of newspaper and slop them on the balloon when you're a little kid, that's all this is. Okay, other side, this is where it gets more fun. So I gotta wipe this out. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be starting to ride the steel flange of the bead. There's a steel flange that comes out to about right here. And you want a knife that isn't too sharp. Like a brand new 4-inch or 6-inch knife is gonna have really sharp square corners and tear the tape. So you might wanna sand those edges as you're doing this part. I'm actually surprised I never made this video. Okay guys, here's the important part. And it is, I always kind of wipe it tight like this. So what we're doing is we're getting rid of any potential air pockets in there. And remember I mentioned that this should be done with quickset mud. And if you're new to this, well, quickset's kind of a pain to work with to start. Okay, that's pretty good. So what we've done, this is wiped snug. This is all gonna get really hard in behind there as it dries out. Or again, if it's quickset, it should be setting and becoming hard. And what I usually do is with the same mix, so that same mix of quickset, if I have the time, I'm now actually gonna coat this corner bead. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say now. Okay, guys, I lost my train of thought because we weren't there yet. But when you pull a corner bead out like this, you're gonna have to coat it like back to here. Okay, you can't just do your regular like 1 foot coat. You're gonna have to go at least like 2 feet with some sort of a straight edge to make this now appear flat instead of just having like a ski jump off the corner of your wall. So that's the thing that I was gonna tell you guys. But yeah, the reason that at this point I would now do another coat is when this all sets, it's locked into place. If there was any blisters underneath that flange, they're gonna be buried underneath a thick coat of quickset. And it should actually be up to the nosing here, but because this is my silly little pretend wall, you know, I can't really do that. And as you can see, it's actually gonna take a lot to bury that. And you need to make sure that it hasn't been installed too much this way. So if this part right here is too much out like that, then the nose of the bead won't actually cover that part of the flange right there. So it also can't be, again, so far out like that, that this part sticks out more. It doesn't in this case, I just don't have a real wall to show you guys on. Maybe someday we'll do a actual on-site demo of tweaking a bead, but who knows? Maybe some of you guys need to know how to do this weekend, and now this video exists. And that's really all this channel is about giving you guys new techniques to put in the toolbox and get really nice results on your jobs. So yeah, tweaking a bead. It's not that hard, but it's also not that easy. I would say the ability to install and tweak corner beads with a high level of accuracy and no callbacks is one of the things that separates a really good drywall finisher from, you know, Joe Schmo installing a corner bead in their garage. But no, seriously, like what I mean is the ability to set beads and correct framing and have them not crack down the road is again what separates a true professional or somebody who really knows what they're doing from an amateur who installs a bead that cracks and that doesn't line up to the things they need to line up to, and you know, just basically makes their, when things don't line up, you know? Now you know how to make things line up. Anyways, that's all. That's how to tweak a bead. I hope this video made sense to you guys. As you can see, it's still nice and snug on this side. It often winds up maybe the tiniest bit proud on this side. Like if I look at this, it could have been a bit more that way, but it's gonna be adequate. Especially because once again, for like the millionth time, it's a pretend wall in a garage.